Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, September 3rd, and we've got a lot of daily quests to do. Of course, it's Monday. A lot of things got done over the weekend off screen too, but also a lot of things didn't get done off screen. Let's see, we need to play elementals, paladin, shaman, warlock. When is the tavern brawl coming back? Let's see. I may not have any elementals, so let's start with the paladin just to see how well that really works. We are at rank 23. Mech Paladin is the deck I have, which is not a great deck. A lot of things got done, but a lot of things didn't get done. I've fallen into some weirdness just with the insomnia, which I'm talking about like every single recording now, and I really need to stop talking about it. But I'm now waking up somewhere between 5:30 in the morning, maybe even as early as 3:30 in the morning once, and then staying awake until at least 8 p.m. The problem, though, is I am not mentally alert during those times. I just don't feel like I would be doing a great job if I was recording. And I've also over the weekend had an excuse in which I'm still setting up all of the Boomsday Puzzle Labs videos to let those run out and come out on a daily basis, which I heavily suspect. While my hope is that it will become this chain and it will just always bring in new viewers and always bring in new subscribers, I heavily suspect at this point that nobody is going to be watching nearly any of the solution videos after what's probably already aired right now, just because I did it in a backwards order and the most difficult puzzles were done first. So the very last video to air in this series will be like the very first puzzle anyone is likely to do, which was super easy. But I figured that would be smarter, because if I did it the other way, by the time I aired the really difficult solutions, people would have also lost interest. So I'm just hoping that there might be some kind of evergreenness, is the phrase, when TV stations or radio stations have footage that just plays well at any time, or plays as well as expected at any point. It's not really relevant to what's happening in regular related to just normal news or anything like that. So I'm kind of hoping that series will become evergreen, and there will just always be somebody looking it up, and they will look it up and they will find my videos for some reason, as opposed to so many other videos. Perhaps because I spent the extra effort to label things. Perhaps because I spent the extra effort to label things, and my channel is considered slightly better than some other channels. Like that's kind of my hope. But since I've been doing that, I haven't done anything this weekend as far as recording, and I really need to be playing Dead Space 2. It's like less than a month. Less than a month until October starts happening, and I haven't scheduled any of the footage that I've recorded and uploaded, so there's a ton of scheduling I need to do. There is also some weirdness by waking up early on a streaming day, as far as what am I going to do with myself in the time before I need to stream. Am I going to do some scheduling? Ideally, yes, but it's really a matter of, can I convince myself to actually do that? or am I going to just do nothing?
Someone call for the doctor.
So yeah, there's definitely some thoughts I need to decide, a lot of work I need to do, games I need to play. I've fallen so far behind. I don't even know what to do with myself, frankly. It's just been really hard. Really hard to stick to a schedule and get further ahead in pre-recording footage. Inherently, I think my problem is I added an extra time slot throughout 2017 or 2016. When I go back to how I started my channel and I was playing one game, maybe two games at the same time, that was it's very different now, with 3 days a week streaming for at least 3 hours. So 10 hours of a theoretical 40 hours, but let's be more realistic, I probably am putting closer to 30 hours of work in a week, maybe even as low as 20. Meanwhile, I'm watching 40 hours of YouTube. That new YouTube feature that tells you how many hours you spend on a week watching videos is not going to do me very well at all, because it's going to make me have to realize some very harsh realizations.
Arthas versus Jaina.
So yeah, I don't know if we're going to get to December 31st and I'm just going to say, look, this has gotta be relaxed more. I've got to drop another time slot. 2019 has got to be a year built around rebuilding the backlog and just getting footage done. Like I have a thought to just not do anything in November's, but then that's not good either. I don't even know when a great time is to take it off. If anything, it would be January, I would guess. So maybe January would be the best time to make some changes. Anyways, now let's continue with the news, and
Job done.
Ambitiously as always try to get all of the news covered. I'm not sure there really is too much to cover here. There's a bunch of games that I didn't really vet, so a lot of them are going to just be terrible games. It seems like, oh yeah, today in the United States it's also Labor Day, so it seems like that probably affected why there's not a ton of new announcements. So since this is Labor Day, and I was just talking about my quote-unquote labor, yeah, I could see what I probably should do is try to take this weekend off a little bit more, still do things like I did on Saturday and Sunday, but also try to reduce my effort as much as possible for today. I've got a lot of scheduling I need to do though, so I want to do that. Anyways, Eurogamer has an article. Sega confirms Valkyrie Chronicles is coming to Nintendo Switch next month. Grab a 25% discount too if you're picking up Valkyria Chronicles 4. So yeah, Valkyria Chronicles 4, I'm not sure if it's out on PC yet.
Reporting for duty.
I want to play all the paladin cards. Let's see. I think eventually I will get to the I really, yeah, I think I will eventually get around to playing
The light dims, but we
the Valkyria Chronicles series at some point. Perhaps part of my problem, I'm not sure if it really is part of my problem or not, but it is possible that I just play too much of the same game. Like having an entire time slot that is mostly Telltale games and point-and-click adventure games, which I guess for Halloween month I did both a Telltale game and a point-and-click adventure game. And arguably doing the Walking Dead Season 3 for Halloween month wasn't necessary. It was just that the final season of The Walking Dead was coming out during that time, so it was just a smart, strategic time to play that game. But in all realisticness, The Walking Dead is not a scary enough game to, in my mind, be justified as being Halloween material when you consider I probably need to play zombie games throughout the year. Like, at best I could do 1 month with a zombie game and then 1 or 2 months without. But there's been so many zombie games that got released. It's not the biggest fad right now, but it still was a huge fad. So last stream I talked about how EA was donating $1 million to the victims of the Jacksonville shooting, and how I talked about with my speculation. I don't even think it really was a tinfoil hat theory, honestly. I may have called it that, however. Who knows what I said? I don't remember. But now we have a GameIndustry.biz article that backs up my exact thought. GameIndustry.biz has an article: Jacksonville shooting victims suing EA for negligence, also seeking damages from 7 other defendants, including the tournament venue Chicago Pizza and Jacksonville Landing Mall.
I fight.
And I think that he will probably win. I believe he is also trying to make this a class action suit, which would then include all the victims.
Daughters of Flame, awaken!
Let's see.
Amazing.
Dun dun dun. I'm reading this and seeing if there's anything. Like, EA responded in a statement saying, at this time we are fully focused on supporting the victims and all those affected by this tragic event. So yeah, no duh EA was going to get sued. I imagine it was also no duh that the other people involved in any way were going to get sued. And I think almost certainly he's going to be able to succeed here and make a class action suit. The nastiness here would be if it turns out that on the bottom of the ticket that everybody paid to get in, there's some kind of arbitration clause and it all goes to arbitration, and EA gets away with murder, literally, or at least gross negligence. I mean, it really is gross negligence that anybody could get a weapon and come into a large event venue is just not acceptable. I don't even think it's really acceptable if somebody could go and get their gun and bring it into just a bar, just a random bar or a random restaurant. I could kind of see it happening, certainly, and people just not checking or being alert, but particularly when there's a significant amount of people around, when there's a special event. Like, we need metal detectors at the doors of everything. Like, there's metal detectors at the doors of churches these days. So, anyways, let's move on. Still just trying to play as many of these cards as possible. I also would love to win. Gamasutra has a blog. Centuries ago, the Dark Lord When and How to Dump, which is a blog about how to dump narrative and backstory. The subtitles of these paragraphs are: number 1, lore dumps don't sound like something a human would say. These are probably things that you don't want. 2, lore dumps that don't read like something a human would write. Yeah, okay. That makes some sense. Let's see.
Repent! Repent! The light protects me.
Number 3 is lore dumps that feel like homework. Number 4 is lore dumps that could be copy-pasted into another game without anyone noticing. Number 5 is lore dumps that are in there out of a sense of mistaken duty. And then it starts a second list. 0, do not write the lore in the first place. Number 1, that was number 0. Keep the information to an absolute minimum. Give the player a reason to be curious. 3, write it extremely good. I think you could probably run it down to just write it extremely good, and that's kind of all you need to do.
Converting stored energy.
4, add a point of view. 5, let the player ask questions about it. 6, break it up and scatter it through the game. 7, lampshade it. 8, don't use words. So yeah, somebody's written a blog about lore dumps. You know, when I think about how I played Skyrim and how completely uninterested I was in all of those books, and how completely uninterested I would be in almost any lore dumps in any game. Yeah, I just don't think that's for most gamers. I think there is a special, very niche class of gamers who like to read, and then there is the rest of the majority of gamers who want audio, visual, video, interactive content. They don't want to read books. They don't want to read backstory. And I really don't think games need to be made towards people who like to read, because people who like to read can always just read books. And if the books are really that good, release it as a side thing. Don't put the lore in the game. Do like the Myst series did, where they wrote 3 Myst books that, honestly, since I'm a fan of Myst, I would like to read them. They're kind of impossible to find these days. But yeah, that's how I would do it. Is if you're going to write a story, write it for an audience that actually wants to read. And make a book or an ebook. Don't give me Skyrim. Skyrim would have been a much better game, in my opinion, had it simply been a lot of editing had been done. Like the whole Bethesda idea of making these giant games that are super buggy. I would much prefer if Bethesda came out and instead made medium to small games that were very polished and not buggy, and
I fight.
And were built just to play really well. And that's why one of my suggestions for Skyrim was, honestly, when you think about how there's a Thieves Guild and a Hunters Guild and a Assassin's Guild, and I believe there's maybe a couple other guilds, like, there easily could have been a point where they split Skyrim into 3 different stories, where you played as 3 different characters, and each of them played around the same time. Even if you combine that as one game, but there were 3 different chapters of the game, or 3 different playthroughs of the game, that would have been a lot better than just being able for one player to be the chosen one in so many different guilds and do so many different quests that didn't really combine anything. The Mages Guild was another one. And for the vast majority of players, they're going to miss out on a lot of that content. So yeah, if they had broken up the game, left a lot of things on the editing room floor, and just had the game be a tight, intelligent, narrative-driven story, get rid of a lot of the dungeons, because they were repetitive and not needed.
Reporting for duty. The battle.
Well,
The battle.
I am 3 short. Had I had drawn a magnetic thing with 3, I could have potentially won. Okay, we've got a game on the Steam called Save the President from Rebels. I already looked at this developer. He looks like he's a troll developer. It's 40% off for 59 cents. The game looks completely awful. It seems like also this is, yeah, it's the US president you're saving from the Koreans, North Koreans, I believe. But yeah, the game looks completely awful. Extremely low effort. Next we have a game on Steam called Knights of Tartarus. Yeah, I just need to play a couple more cards. Let's see, it looks like it's an RPG game. That's repetitive to say RPG game. RPG. It looks like an old 8-bit NES game.
Arthas versus Valyra.
With both the problems and the good parts of that.
For Lordaeron.
Honestly, this kind of looks like it's straight up copying some more famous NES RPGs. Let's see, early access 15% off for $8.49. I don't think some categories should be allowed to do early access. It would be a lack of fairness, most certainly, but if you can't make a finished game for an RPG, you shouldn't put it out there. There's really no reason for a game to be out in early access as an RPG, because that means that your gameplay mechanics need support and feedback. It means basic things that people should be able to program before any outsider, any early access player has seen it, are not getting done. Also, this game is from a developer who's made nothing else, so let's close that tab. Next we have a troll game called Fly Wars. It seems, let's see, first game from this developer, 10% off for $5.39. They've gotten to the point now where these extremely low effort games with 30 Steam achievements, I wonder if maybe they've lowered the achievement amount too. But yeah, they're now asking for over $5 and usually $5.39. Hey! I was not expecting that to happen. So, that's the first time I've ever gotten 500 wins. And so now my hero is golden. Okay. Doesn't really look that golden. Let's see. Let's go over here for a quick break and see if we can do anything. Arthas.
Justice
Oh.
has come.
Oh, because I'm playing as
serve.
Arthas. And I guess there is no Arthas golden version. So we'll go back to Uther, who is the... Like, I know I have more here. Yep, some more characters. Apparently I have some cards I can disenchant too. Turn that into dust. Right, back we go. And so yeah, that looks a little bit fancier. Wins 500, where the rest of them say 173. Is that really that low? 330. I'm gonna really have to decide and pick some people to work on if I'm gonna get 500s. Like the mages, I think honestly like one. Does that say 499? Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people need some more work. But we'll get there. Yeah, so I'm looking at this game Fly Wars. WARZZ. Another extremely low effort game for $5.39. Close that tab.
Versus Gul'dan.
Gamma Sutra has an article. Let's Sing 2019 is heading to the PS4, Xbox One, and the Nintendo Wii, which is questionable, but I suppose maybe it was already in development. The Wii launched almost 12 years ago, for reference. It's a THQ Nordic game, and again,
our curse into our strength.
This is another fears that THQ Nordic is going to go the way of THQ and just totally overcommit. Let's see. The publisher also bought Let's Sing 2018, so the veteran console must have pulled in enough sales to warrant a sequel. I could imagine that maybe that is the case. I also wouldn't be surprised if there's a element of... So these guys will be gold now too, by the way. Anything you summon as a golden hero. Asian countries may have a lot of Wiis. There may be a ton of Wiis sitting around that would work well in karaoke bars. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a Wii inside every Japanese karaoke bar, or at least THQ Nordic thinks that's the case. So I could see a lot of legacy people still having Wiis. Not particularly gamers, but just other people who may be using Wiis as like waiting rooms. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of doctors' offices with Wiis sitting around. Moving in, Your Gamer has an article. Insomniac details Spider-Man's post-launch story DLC, The City That Never Sleeps. They are bringing Black Cat into the picture in the DLC. Still not 100% sold that this Spider-Man game would be any better than any of the previous Spider-Man games. And it really is asking a lot to assume that any Spider-Man game can be good. I think that there is kind of a problem with Spider-Man as a series. I think his enemies, his rogues gallery, don't make a lot of sense when put in video game form or movie form. I think you run into some weird
Your magic shall not
issues with
save
Peter Parker. You also now run into weird issues of, is Spider-Man going to be Peter Parker, or is it going to be Spider-Gwen, or is it going to be, is it Miles Morales, I believe, is the new Spider-Man?
Job done.
Let's see. I think you probably could get a good story out of these Spider-Man books if you took all the good parts up to like Civil War, when Peter Parker revealed himself and took his mask off, and I think then that probably is the last swan song of Spider-Man as far as stories. I don't think you can do anything else with the character. Like, honestly, I think a lot of comic book characters, you know, if they had just died the first time they died, or ended their story at a specific point when it was a good point to end the story and never come back, that would have been great. Or taken at least a 5 to 10 year hiatus and then come back with a reboot. At least video games kind of get that right, in my opinion. That they will take a break. They will rest a series, whereas comic books will just never let that happen. And the same is true for DC. Like, Batman probably should have ended with the Killing Joke. Like, that would have been the place to end it. If I was to just roughly guess, as somebody who's not a super comic book fan, or really much of a comic book fan at all.
What is my purpose? The light protects me.
Die, mage.
Moving on, Your Gamer. Nope, we already just talked about that article. It is a PC Gamer 404 error. Sorry, page not found. What was this? Let's see. It was 2K asked players to contact local game government about Belgian loot ban. Wonder why that article would have gotten taken down. Inherently, this is not acceptable for any news agency. Once you put an article up, even if it is 100% inaccurate and wrong, you need to put something there as a explanation or reference. Like, even if you're going to put the following information is not factually accurate, and we have since recounted it, this information. Here's what the original article said. Like, that is about as much as you can do. Even the IGN plagiarism reviews, like, I think still should be on the site. Maybe they don't count towards any of the greater systems, but they should still be searchable. They should still be findable. There we go. That's one. You shouldn't just get a 404 error. Let's see. Of course, maybe it was just a typo, and we'll get to that article here in a second. What do we need to do next? Shaman or Warlock? So let's go ahead and try the Zoo Warlock, I guess. PC Gamer has a different article. Fortnite tournament tiebreaker decided by coin flip. We aren't big fans of having to rely on a coin flip for this, an Epic employee said. The final qualifying round of Fortnite's summer skirmish tournament came to a halt yesterday after two players, Colton and the real Cryo-Me, tied in every possible way. Only 33 players for each qualifying group can advance to the final roll, with each qualifying earning at least $5,000 and a shot at $225,000 in the finals. Let's see. Let's see. This put this next sentence doesn't make sense. This put Colton and Cryomi, who tied for last place, in a tough spot. To resolve the dead heat, Epic relied on the oldest tiebreaker in a book, a coin toss. In the end, luck favored Cryomi, so Colton lost a spot in the finals. You can watch the coin toss below. I think there's gotta be something better you can do in Fortnite to break a tie. Like, don't you play another game? Don't you have them race from one point of the map to the other? Like first kill, is there? How does Fortnite handle ties in the game itself? Does it have literally no mechanism? It seems just not very related to Fortnite itself.
Pain or suffering, I can't decide.
Yeah, that's people not gonna be happy about that. They need a better system, clearly. Let's see. If I hit this one, then it will heal.
Stop copying me! Stop copying me!
So if I do this, that, and that. GameIndustry.biz has an article. Valve, creating Artifact is not a zero-sum game. How the company is keeping its focus narrow for the upcoming online trading card game. I heard someone say that actually playing this Artifact isn't as complicated as it sounds. Let's see what else is in this article. I think there's another article where somebody who works at Valve says they were never not working on a game, which just sounds horrible. Yeah, here's a quote. Barnett, Jeep Barnett, one of the programmers on Artifact, has a quote here. Valve is a very interesting place. We work in strange ways. We've always developed games. I'm a game programmer. I've been at Valve for 13 years. With one exception I can think of, the entire time I've been at Valve, I've always worked on games. And there has always been games in development. Which that is not a good thing. Like, that doesn't make it better at all. That makes it way, way worse.
It's playtime. Free me! Free me!
Let's see. There have definitely been, another quote is, there have definitely been times where I focus more on features of Steam, like broadcasting or workshop or big picture, Steam controller, VR, all of these other things. But Artifact started over 3 years ago. I've been developing it for a long time. Let's see.
Mushroom power! Free me! Free me!
Yep. Wait, next turn. Let's see if there's anything else in this article worth mentioning. Yeah, I'm kind of just skipping this article for most of it. If you're interested. I'm not super hyped for Artifact. I think it will come out, almost certainly. And probably come out on time, but then I think that's kind of gonna be all there is to say about it. Like, I'm not sure there will be a calculation or idea that happens as far as how many people really want to play Artifact. I can't imagine too many people, particularly since Boomsday came out. Maybe that was why Boomsday has been rushed out a little bit, because it did feel like it came out too early. Maybe they were trying to get out ahead of Artifact. I think they probably succeeded in that, at least a little bit. Yeah, I played wrong. Let's see. Let's see. Xbox.com or news.xbox.com has an article about the Talos Principle. One of the things that was in this article, or at least in the tweet that referenced this article, was a quote that Talos Principle was not a game that was supposed to ever come out. I think that's already been said before. So I don't think it's a completely new statement.
It's playtime.
Let's see.
Someone call for the doctor.
Just keep on playing. Gonna end the turn. That they were working on the next Serious Sam, Crow Team was, and they got sidetracked on making laser puzzles, and it eventually so they made the Talos Principle. And in a lot of ways, for me, I feel like Crow Team would be better to split their focus at least half on Talos Principle and half on Serious Sam, because Serious Sam is old. It's not going to bring in any new players. So having a more diverse lineup than just one series is probably a good idea. Let's see. None of that played the way I wanted it to. I'm actually trying to win right now, so if I lose, that's gonna suck. We got a game on Steam called Grizzly Adventure. Looks like it's a cheap, maybe I wouldn't go as far as saying extremely low effort platformer, but low effort platformer. Yeah, it doesn't look interesting. 40% off for 59 cents. I think at this point, almost any game that's selling for less than $1 is not worth anyone's time. Like, honestly, you'd probably get more enjoyment buying a candy bar if you can get one for 60 cents, or a drink. If you can get one of those for 60 cents either. I just don't see a reason to play so many of these games. They're so bad looking, and they're gonna be so uninteresting. Like, there's playing video games is a moderately is just not an extremely poor man's game. They just can't. If you can't afford to spend at least $5 on a game, you probably can't afford to own a computer to play video games on PC, and you probably can't afford a console. So you're in such a bad position. Anyways, next we have a game on Steam called Spellwake. It says it's a free-to-play RPG. It Looks a little Diablo-esque, but like Diablo, but it's not even as good looking as Diablo 1. Has its own EULA, it's free to play. So Spellwake, another game to easily skip. I think that's going to be almost every game we cover today. Labor Day weekend would make a lot of sense for people to dump out a bunch of bad things. Let's move over to Even Shaman. Next we have a game on Steam called Rescale. Is this an actual game or is this just a bunch of random polygons? So you're playing as this ball that seems to change different colors, and you can make the ball bigger or smaller. So it almost looks like a game. It's 4 achievements for 99 cents. This is an elemental, so I want to hold on to this one. But then again, I've seen a lot of games that literally just use polygons. And this is just another game like that. It's 99 cents, first game from this developer. I think I can safely risk ignoring Rescale. PC Gamer has an article. The newest online card game is one of the oldest. Now in beta, Magic the Gathering Arena enters a crowded market. How does it compare to games like Hearthstone? Well, if Magic the Gathering Arena is taking some of the old series of cards instead of doing the whole Planeswalker thing, which was not a thing when I was playing Magic the Gathering, which it might bring back some old Magic fans. Although, let's be honest, the people who made Magic went over to make Hearthstone, and I'm not sure that there's really too much that's interesting about Magic. Also, you would then have to deal with Wizards of the Coast, and I'm not sure anybody wants to actually deal with Wizards of the Coast, because they've released a lot of these Magic games on an annual basis and tried to squeeze a lot of money out of people, even way worse than Hearthstone does. Hearthstone you can really play free to play. Some of the Magic games you can't play at all unless you pay. And they've already made like cell phone versions of Magic, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's better than what it is than playing it on PC. I could see both, certainly. Yeah, you definitely need both, but there's also some weirdness. I'm trying to read this article and look at these pictures. I can't tell. Let's see. I cannot tell if these are old decks or new decks, or like why this looks any different than the last Magic card game I saw. Like, I don't know. Let's see if maybe we can search it. Do a little research. Magic the Gathering Arena. You know what I'm not seeing is I'm not seeing it on Steam. Let's see it. So Wikipedia. Let's see. Should hit that one. Let's see, I'm trying to read the Wikipedia article now.
Neither snow, nor rain, nor witch.
What's funny is they've gone full circle here and they're referencing Hearthstone as the explanation to explain Magic the Gathering. Yeah. I don't think Magic the Gathering Arena is coming to Steam, and I don't think that there's particularly anything too interesting about it right now that catch my attention. I think it would also be rather crazy if I was going to try and get away from Hearthstone and play something like Magic, because Magic would take even longer. I can almost guarantee you it would. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. La Mulana 2 is coming to consoles next spring. I think it's in beta already on Steam, or maybe fully out on Steam. Let's see. See if we can find out if it's on Steam right now. Yeah, it's in Steam. It's not early access. It came out July 30th. I think I'd probably want to play La Mulana 1 if I was gonna, before playing 2. But there's something certainly interesting about all that. Okay.
Chill out. Chill out.
Let's see. I guess these articles will all be back to back, so we might as well cover this now. GameIndustry.biz. Riot responds to controversy over women and non-binary PAX workshops. Like, the quote, subtitle here is, quote, "No matter how heated a discussion, we expect rioters to act with respect." So, Riot cannot get out of this trouble, which at a certain point you start to potentially have to say it's Riot's own fault. I think that people on both sides of the issue, or every side of the issue, probably going to come out and say Riot handled it poorly, regardless of what they did. So Riot probably should have just gone quiet and done nothing. Let's see. So the article goes, Riot Games is once again under fire from claims of sexism, but this time it's being criticized by excluding men from some of its activities, which that is a growing issue, certainly, where Google was also complained about this, where they would have entire meetings and entire groups where men need not apply. Some would call that reverse sexism, but it really is just sexism against males. The controversy arose from League of Legends developers workshops at PAX West this weekend, where one room was used to host sessions to support women and non-binary folks who are interested in getting into games professionally, an initiative to combat the fact that only 22% of the jobs in the games industry are held by women. Which, again, 22% I think is right about the number of people of women who graduate with games industry degrees. So they would all be better if they want to increase that number. They'd be better at giving scholarships to interested students. Transform your minions. Let's see.
Job's done.
Let's see. Let's see, Riot recruiter Mel Caparino Garcia, aka Swim Bananas, confirmed 2 of these events were only open to women and non-binary folks, to which several people complained as sessions in questions were focused on getting a career, including on one-on-one resume review, presentations on securing a job in art, production, writing, game design, and more. The conversation inevitably escalated across the official comments thread, Reddit, and other forms of social media, with daily esports reporting many of the common complaints, such as the Riot stance were actually sexist to men and unfair to any male members of the community interested in working for the firm. Which, arguably, that's what some third wave feminists exactly want, is for men to be marginalized.
Well played.
And it's no longer about equal rights. But moving on, I don't want to get into the mud with this one. The official Riot Games Twitter account has since weighed in on the subject with a short statement. To help recruit women into gaming, we held PAX workshops for women and non-binary people. We're proud of that and stand with rioters at PAX. Regarding conversations about this, we need to emphasize that no matter how heated a discussion, we expect rioters to act with respect. So they're stuck in 2 places. One, where they're trying to support what they did, but they're also trying to stop something like what happened with ArenaNet, where the employees went off the handles. Let's see, a more detailed and aggressive response came from Daniel Z. Klein, the Riot Systems designer who created a number of league champions such as Tylea and Cayenne. In a Twitter thread, Klein observed that men are already ridiculously overrepresented in game, while women are ignored, passed over for promotion, and harassed. So yes, in the interest of justice, equality, although really it's equity and fairness, man needed to be excluded sometimes. That quote is not phrased right. I should say men, but whatever. He continued, "That's perfectly fine, trust me. You have about 1 billion other opportunities that these women won't have, but no, you have to be absolute overgrown toddlers and throw hissy fits." However, this last comment, as well as Klein's references to man babies and suggestions that some people driving the argument are privileged as F, has also sparked complaints. Klein has since retweeted a PAX attendee's photo of a wall of encouragement covered in notes for women and non-binary people who are into video games. And the initiative Riot has been supporting. Riot Games has been wrapped up in controversies for several weeks, following the expose that was written horribly by Kotaku, but I mean, they're certainly at this point stepping into it. Like, honestly, if there was any thought whatsoever that this was going to happen and that these kind of events were going to happen, and I was in charge of Riot, I would have just said, we're gonna pull back. We're gonna cancel any PAX conferences, and we're just not gonna do anything. Like, literally, just going silent would have been the right move. And instead, now they're getting attacked by both extreme SJWs and extreme, and I would say more moderate, I guess you'd call them men's rights activists, or just moderate people in general. Like, Had I gone to PAX and wanted to be given the opportunity to show my resume to a Riot Games employee and have them give me feedback, and then they told me I couldn't just because I happened to be born a male, that sucks. That's just exclusion. Like, that's all that is. That feels terrible, and that's terrible for the person right in front of your face. That's terrible for you. That's not. And before you get into like socio-political arguments of, well, in general, on average, there's too many men in the video game industry. You're being rude to the person right in front of you. Like, and inherently, I guess that's the problem with a lot of these efforts, is that in order to get averages up, you have to be rude or disadvantage the people that you're looking at right there, the people who are face to face with you, the people who are in the room at the time. Had they just let everybody in the room and looked at everybody, then there would have been no complaints. Had they focused it and themed it around women in the industry and let everybody in the room, that would have been fine too. Inherently, this is also a big problem of feminism. Third wave feminism is that they want these safe spaces where they can say ridiculous things without any judgment or like common sense telling them what they're saying is just crazy. So they want to literally just mentally go off the deep end, and they know that the only way that they can get away with saying some of those crazy things is getting anybody who is sane, anybody who might dissent whatsoever, out of the room.
Need a key?
So yeah, I could keep on going, but we don't need to talk about this every time. Riot is clearly in a position where they're gonna just fall apart. So if anybody's playing League of Legends right now, particularly, I'd say if you were a male playing League of Legends and you had some thought that someday maybe you'd work for Riot, like, forget it. They've basically told you we're not going to hire any males ever again. So I wouldn't play that game. I wouldn't support League of Legends at this point. I would move over to a new game. Move over to Dota. At least Valve is not that bad. But yeah, that is really sucky. Really, really rude to the PAX attendees. Like, PAX attendees are a limited number. The number of people that can get in the room is a limited number. So you could easily just go first come, first served. And you would almost certainly, if you said this is women in gaming as a women in game development is the name of the speech, you'd probably get a vast majority of women in that presentation. And in all honesty, you really can't hire, you really shouldn't be hiring an employee or a potential future employee. Let's say that a presentation did happen and it was first come, first serve, and you said it was women in game development. And let's say that 60 women are in the room and 20 men are in the room. Or let's say maybe just one man in the room. The number doesn't really matter. Any female in that room that says there's too many men in this room, they need to leave, is like, at that point you go, no, you need to leave. We're never going to hire you. You can't be so childish that you're not willing to work with the opposite sex. Riot cannot legally become a 100% woman-run business, and we're just not going to let that happen. So, if you can't deal with men in the presentation, then you can't do the job. You just can't. And arguably, that was part of my problem with the original Kotaku article, is that there was a disgruntled employee saying I was getting talked over. If you can't talk louder and deal with rude men in a poorly run meeting, then you can't do your job. Because also you would have to talk over rude women who talk over you. So that's just a matter of how assertive you may have to be in a corporate environment. Particularly in a corporate environment that runs their meetings really badly, like it sounds like Rydo did. Alright, moving on, we've got a game on Steam. This is going to be our last game for this recording. Mystery House 5 Stones. It looks like it might be a VR game. Let me see if it actually is. Yeah. It looks like garbage though. It's $5.99, which is about average for even a low effort VR game. Seems like what you're doing is running around the house, solving puzzles, trying to find items. Doesn't seem like there's much there. That's the first game from this developer. Honestly, I don't know why you would trust any new developer to make a VR game. Most new developers can't make regular games good. We've got a game on Steam called Boom Brothers. It looks like it's a standard low polygon first person, third person shooter game. Let's see. Yeah, it looks too much like an asset flip, frankly. It's $5.99. I wonder if there has been a new implementation on how much a game can sell for. Like, you have to charge at least $5 to have a game on Steam. And this is a Japanese article, but basically Sony of Japan is shutting down the PlayStation 2 extended care service. So no more repairing of the PlayStation 2. Which, okay, it's been long enough, I'm sure, for most people. I'm still really not getting anywhere. I'm not getting victories with a Shaman and Warlock, and I'm not getting... I need to play 2 more Elementals, so I'll play the Shaman, and I think I'll just turn it to casual so that we can speed up this process in the next recording. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.